a lot of improvement. But the biggest barriers you see are the challenges of any urban setting.
Just in the last 10 years or so, you've had 4 schools built in the neighborhood. The Met, Health and Science, you've had B.J. Clanton, Pais.
Everyone's been promising South Providence that they're going to help change it or put stuff down here for a long time, and it never happened. No one believed that the city and the state would put $29 million down in South Providence.
It's a real diverse school.
When Elliot and I were asked to take it over, we said, let's redefine what we call vocational ed, because we have the fitness center and that area is open to the community. We were interested in the whole community being involved in how to name the schools and not naming them after someone that people might not have known. And they came up with the name of Liberty, Equality, Justice, and Unity. Our intention always was to do more than a school, was to help change this community.
Right in the heart of South Providence, we had the massive structure of OIC and all of their vocational and career and job training opportunities.
Training thousands of people in all kind of areas: computers, secretarial, welding, machinists, air traffic controls, nursing and health kinds of things with Rhode Island Hospital. We really started English as a second language programs during the first groups of Latino people that came to the community. We were primarily responsible for the job placement for the Southeast Asian Resettlement Program. So OIC doesn't live in the form of an OIC, but it's evolved through CCRI. You know, it goes on and on through what we were able to do.
Organizations like OIC came and unfortunately went, but now you have CCRI.
And the thing that makes me proud is knowing how we built the building, and that even today, when you go through that building, the people that we wanted to serve are still being served.
We started in 1986 as an offshoot of the Rhode Island branch of Opportunities Industrialization Center. And it was started because of the fact that we were qualifying people and training people for jobs, for increased employment opportunities, increased educational opportunities. We've been very successful in hiring local residents. I can remember the first project that I did over here in South Providence, and we hired George Potsidis was the contractor there. Most of his employees were people that came up from the street looking and said, gee, I'm looking for a job. So that when people would come by and, they'd say, well, let me go in there and steal these windows and so forth, the guys that were working said, oh man, you can't do that. This is our job. We got to come here in the morning and work. So it not only provided security, it also provided some economic incentive for the residents here.
I like to see the folks that are unemployed and underemployed, mostly racial minorities, get a chance to work. In particular, our focus is construction, so that's what we train for.
There's a rich resource in this neighborhood of talent, of people who, again, live in the community, who relate to the patients. The patients are their friends or neighbors who are here in the hospital, and that we want to connect with.
We have 2,800 employees, and we receive over 10,000 applications a year for employment. About 9,000 of them I really can't use.
And we're trying to work towards ways that we can get them interested, number one, in gaining those credentials, and then eventually, how to best get them through a system of education so that they can come out with them and join us.
One of the things we did this year was invest in a summer employment program, exclusively high school youth. We were able to hire 22 students only from South Providence, and the only criteria we had was that they were enrolled in school and doing well.
One of our best success stories is the South Providence Development Corporation, which was a partnership with the neighborhood, the hospital sector, so that was Rhode Island Hospital, St. Joseph Hospital, and Women and Infants Hospital, with its goal of educating people here in the community, putting them to work, creating businesses here in the community that generate economic activity.
I was approached by a couple of officials at Lifespan. Rhode Island Hospital is their flagship institution. The initial complaint was it seemed like the neighborhood was beginning to fall down around their campus, and secondarily they were getting a lot of heated pressure from various neighborhood groups over their lack of hiring of local people. So what we found particularly distressing was out of 8,500, less than 50 people were employed from the local community. Our emphasis had to shift when the federal dollars began to dry up. We were not able to meet some of the projections we had established for training and placing people in the healthcare institutions like we planned. But it's one of the reasons we decided to start Cleanscape.
Cleanscape is a for-profit company, and it's a wholly owned subsidiary of South Providence Development Corporation, which is a nonprofit organization. The job training program that they had was Cleanscape. We're here to provide employment and industry within the neighborhood of South Providence.
Cleanscape has three main services that we provide: recycling, collection, monitoring, and processing the materials in-house and marketing them, so selling them to paper mills.
75% of our employees are minority. Even though we have people who may not speak English, they're all here legally, and they're working hard. We pay a living wage to our employees. We compete with people who are doing the same thing we're doing at minimum wage with no benefits. Cleanscape does not have a history of making a lot of money. We're doing what we can at Cleanscape to make sure we improve this neighborhood. And we have people walking in every day looking for jobs here, off the street. Come in, yeah, you have any openings? Are you hiring?
When I came to Cleanscape to work, I didn't have a house. Now, I worked here and I was able to, save up some money, and now I got a house. My family's in there, and everybody's happy.
We have a landscaping division. They do have a contract with the city to maintain the vacant lots within the city, which is great for us. We do landscape architecture and we do landscape construction. They are a green company, absolutely.
We said, well, we tend to pick places of challenge, that if they were redeveloped, then things around that development might over time change. And we stumbled on this particular factory, about 26,000 square feet on Gordon Avenue. Everything around it either was or looked abandoned. And we said, perfect. We're still into the preliminary phase of this incubator, and we don't yet have a full set of programs designed to support our tenants the way we'd like to. I don't remember whose idea it was originally, but we said, well, maybe we could make it a green building. And even our board to today says that, we thought you were crazy. Whoever heard of a green building in the middle of a distressed urban neighborhood? And ultimately, this became the Rhode Island, the entire state's first green and smart building. Our flat roof, it holds a 10 kilowatt solar array, which generates about 8 to 10% of the building's electricity. A third of the roof is planted a green roof. And the other thing that you would find on the roof is around the solar array is a special gutter system that collects rainwater. And we use that gray water, that rainwater, to flush our toilets and urinals, as opposed to pumping the drinking water from the Situate Reservoir for that purpose.
We need to find ways of educating and developing skills and employment opportunities for residents in healthcare careers, construction trades, and information technology. In 2003, the Providence Community Health Centers acquired a federated site. The plan for this site is a 60,000 square foot community health center, a 47,000 square foot commercial office space, as well as a 5,000 square foot retail building. Engineering what was typically a manufacturing and printing site into a healthcare and educational complex. In March of 2006, we announced the Prairie Avenue Revitalization Initiative, basically utilizing the planned investment in the Federated Lithographers Building to stimulate broader investment in the community. We are looking to reconnect this section of South Providence to the economic mainstream of the city.
We had consolidation of financial services on the south side. You had bank branches closing.
When I worked at Old Stone Bank, I was very familiar with what Lloyd Griffin did. I saw him a number of times. We had collaborated on a couple things. He was very heavily involved in making sure the banks were investing into the city.
Starting a business as a Latino minority member, well, it was impossible to obtain a loan. And at that time, banks did not see us a productive community per se.
Someone's going to start thinking outside the box. This is not traditional real estate development finance. Citizens has a very large presence in South Providence. Bank America is trying. It's sort of hot and cold. You know, Citizens wants to go out and buy another bank. They need federal CRA credit. They seem to get hot. Citizens seems to stay hot the longest.
My mother knew someone through the bank, Citizens Bank, and she got me an application, and we went down there and I filled out the application and they told me about Rhode Island housing, how you was able to own a home through Rhode Island housing.
In 1994, the MIDC, which is the Minority Investment Development Corporation, was founded along with the Rhode Island Coalition for Minority Investment. They were both really founded with a mission to provide access to capital to underserved businesses.
And as I point out to people, we've gone from redlining to greenlining. So the challenge now is the cost of credit. So you have people getting into high-cost loans, you have the expansion of second-tier financial services, whether it be pawn shops, check cashers, rent-to-own centers.
Oasis was founded in 1992. A friend of mine brought the idea to me and said, how about exploring the possibility of bringing a credit union, into our community. Well, I think the gap that is trying to fill then was to make available access to capital that ordinarily people in this neighborhood will not get from the commercial banks.
We've got sharp competitors through the check cashing places. And again, it's all about education. People have to be educated that your check cashing venues are not the way to go in terms of you being able to keep money in your pocket.
Rent-a-center is not something that we encourage, and we are telling them, come and open an account. You will have control of your check. Nobody needs to be taking that 10%, 8%, 18% out of your check before they catch it for you. But the neighborhood is just like they are not ready for it.
South Providence is kind of a funny place. 3 years ago, a Latino family wouldn't cross Broad Street. A Dominican family wouldn't come north of, like lower Broad Street. And then you had African American families who would only live here. That sort of has all changed.
All of a sudden it seemed there's like a ton more Latino-owned businesses, and there'd be frustration from folks that have lived here for a while. How come there's never black folks hired in any of the new Latino businesses that are opening?
When they first came here, black would try to give him a job, get him hooked up one night because he wanted to see him eat. But now they got all the business and they only hire their people. And you got to hire the people from the community too.
If the Latino businesses are going to grow, they need to expand from the ethnic type of services. Latino business owners need to become business owners, period.
A vast majority of the businesses rent their space, right? And so then if you renovate, what can happen? The rents can go up. And then you get squeezed out and the whole area gets gentrified commercially, as well as the danger of that happening residentially. I think the thing that Southside Broad Street's done is gotten people to think about the neighborhood sort of from an economic perspective, but that's not down on high, In the past, there have been things like getting tree planters up and program to get awnings and signage. In the last year or so, a lot of great work has been done by Jose Brito with the Southside Merchants Association.
The development has taken place on the south side with the sweat and tears of Latinos who have taken the risk to start their businesses. If I own a beauty shop and you own one, we cannot be friends because we are competitors, and not only competitors but enemies. And that very much has been diluted. With the understanding and the education of the strength in numbers, there is a coordinated communication among the businesses. It also has allowed the state and the city to take notice of these businesses and actually work with the Merchant Association in trying to help these businesses grow.
Porque La Broa es la calle principal de aquí de la ciudad de Providence, y aparte de eso tengo muy buenas amistades y me gusta, vivo cerca de aquí.
I mentioned diversified culture. I think That's not really being played up as much as it could be. Again, I know that a lot of it, they are Latino businesses, but there are a lot of other types of businesses within the area too. There's African businesses, Jamaican businesses, there's some Asian businesses.
You know, I want to make it versatile so everybody could come in and feel welcome, you know? Because there's different kind of people coming in, white, black, Hispanics, Chinese, everybody. So I want to make sure they're all welcome no matter what, you know? Growing up in Southside, and hip-hop always in my heart. I figure if other restaurants have their own kind of concept, I can do my own thing, you know?
I carry a little bit of everything to suit everybody's taste. I've actually been doing t-shirt taxi now for the last 3 years. More people living in the area, more money for me.
The neighborhood's busy, you know, it's busy, it's sort of, there's always sort of more and more people, more and more energy, more and more activity, and you can say it's very haphazard, and it is, that's true. You know, where does the state put economic development money? And if they do, they like blow a whole bunch on one big project and make a big hoopla and say this is going to change the world. In fact, that's what the stuff they want to do along the waterfront. One description I've heard is, you know, it's going to be like little nice little shishi spots like God only knows Pat Conley's Pier or some of those projects. You know, you can just picture it now. You're going to have well-off white people sitting around looking out on the water, et cetera, and people of color, oh, see, we do have jobs for you, here you go, you know, coming out and bringing them their drinks.
In order to have a vibrant community, you must have, you know, development take place. And again, you know, it has its positives and its negatives, but overall, I am a believer that the changes have been positive.
Things people bring with them, you know, are part of their acculturation. I think people can keep what's good about them, keep what makes them proud, what gives them a sense of self, and they just add that to this mosaic that is, you know, a wonderful neighborhood.
Part of the vibrancy that I adore here is that it combines the diversity of education and ethnicity and nationality.
The people here, we all try to get along here. Well, I'm proud of my neighbors. I got neighbors right across the street. They're Spanish, and they're like family.
South Providence has the largest Latino community across the state.
We are only one. There's no Guatemalans, Mexicans, Puerto Ricans. It's only Latinos. That's it.
There's more white families coming into the neighborhood.
And also lots of people from Southeast Asia, Cambodian, Hmong.
It's multicultural, it's multilingual. You know, we like sort of the diversity that takes place in the neighborhood, but so that attracts new investments.
I mean, every walk of life is here. You know, this is our United Nations.
It is truly a melting pot.
Southside.